Hi, I'm Dr. R.G. Allen Wilson. You may recognize me as a leading relationship expert for TV programs such as CNN, The Today Show, Good Day Philly, Fox 29, Tamron Hall Show, Mel Robbins Show, and local and national radio shows, just to name a few. I want to invite you to a very awesome opportunity that will enhance your life. Having courageous conversations that connect is key for a healthy relationship with ourselves and others. Knowing the right strategies and techniques aren't as simple as we think. There are principles to understanding how we all think and feel. Right now, you can join in my free quarantine talks to learn what others spend thousands of dollars in therapy to know. Each day, while we are in quarantine at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can watch, listen, and learn tips that will help you get through this challenging time in our lives. Here's the good news. There is absolutely no cost for you to participate. Tune in on YouTube, Facebook, and the Gram at Ask Dr. RG. I look forward to seeing you join our crew. And that's connecting relationships for epic wins. Have a beautiful day on purpose. From my heart to yours.
And good morning, everyone. This is Dr. RG, yours truly. Welcome to the Courageous Conversations Connect space where we're having our quarantine talks. Today is August 27th, 2020. Believe it or not, it's Thursday. We are in our 23rd week with this pandemic, if you will. And this is our 74th episode of Quarantine Talks. So welcome, crew. It's good to see you. Listen, I gotta give you all a little bit of some transparency with me. I'm going to need your help today, the crew, connecting relationships for epic wins, because I could not sleep last night. I did not get good rest. I woke up about 2:00 a.m. after going to bed about 11, and then I did not go back to sleep until 6. So I was up for like 4 or 5 hours just kind of doing not good things that I tell people not to do, like surfing through the internet and reading articles and getting more and more frustrated. So there's a lot on my mind, on my heart. Yesterday, we talked about Your Heart Matters. All week, we're specifically talking about embracing change in the midst of 2 pandemics. And on Monday, we talked about our rights, your rights matter. Yesterday, we talked about our hearts. How do you search your heart? As Jacob Blake's mother asked us to examine our heart. The heart of the matter is that we need to deal with our grief, but also have grace and some grit. And today we're talking about, yep, you guessed it, our Black Lives Matter, because they do. And there's just so much going on. I see Bill Joe, welcome to the show. Charla is on. Stephanie Stewart is on. Elizabeth, hey Lizzie, good morning. So nice to see you. And so do me a favor. This is our community give back. Make sure that you tag a friend, share this video with someone. If they can't watch it in real time, make sure that the crew comes onto this platform and watches it. This is going to be a good and courageous conversation. And if you haven't done so, go over to our YouTube page, subscribe. It's the Ask Dr. RG YouTube page, AskDrArgie. Hit the subscribe bell, subscribe and hit the notification bell. Smash that thumbs up because that helps with the algorithms. So I am going to ask you all to think about who you're going to breathe for and who you're breathing with and how you are taking in all of this. Because if you're like me, you're pretty overwhelmed and fed up and frustrated with yet another Black man shot in the streets by a white police officer. And then on top of that, having a 17-year-old shoot 2 people and injure one a night ago. I think it was one night ago, and walk around with weapons on him and in front of police, and nothing happened. So we're going to talk about all of that. We're going to take a quick break from our sponsors, and we'll be right back. Think about who you're going to breathe for. Stay with us. everyone. This is Dr. RG, yours truly, here again. Again, welcome to Courageous Conversation Connect Space, Quarantine Talks. You are our crew, connecting relationships for epic wins. Tell me who you're breathing for. I'm going to tell you who I'm breathing for and with. I am breathing for Jacob Blake as he continues to try to recover. He's going to have multiple surgeries ahead of him. As we said yesterday, the 7 bullets that penetrated his body at close range in the back as he was trying to get into the car. Could there have been another way? He was already tased. Could there have been another way to subdue him if that was the goal, as opposed to shooting him with 9 bullets in the back, severing his spine, also injuring his small intestine, his large intestine, his liver, his kidneys, shooting him in the arm. Just unacceptable. And so I'm breathing for his family, his mother and his father that spoke so eloquently, and his sister a few days ago, Jacob Blake Sr. and Julia Jackson and his sister. I'm also breathing for the mother and child that were killed last night. I saw very late last night that there was a car of a 19-year-old that drove into a wall, and driving into that wall, losing control of the car, slammed into a mother and daughter who were walking home from the store. Mother was killed, 50-year-old woman. A 30-year-old woman was killed, and the 16-year-old daughter is still in the hospital, along with the 19-year-old girl that was driving the vehicle. So I'm praying for and breathing for their family. And then, this coronavirus is surging. And so there's a lot of kids that have gone back to school, parents that are trying to figure out daycare for their children while they have to go back to work. And so I'm praying for all of us, and I'm breathing for all of us. Tell me who you are breathing for. You all know what we do at 10:10. We go into our breathing exercise. We put our thumbs on our middle finger, or one hand over the next, on our laps or to the side. We relax our back. And usually at the sound of my voice, I count to 3, and we breathe oxygen in and carbon dioxide out. We hold it for 8 seconds in honor of George Floyd, who had a knee on his neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds, and then longer after the breath left his body. So we hold it for 8 seconds in honor of justice coming to both George Floyd and many others. And we also are breathing in for IG family and for Facebook family and our YouTube family. We're breathing in peace and calm and serenity and hope and freedom. We are also breathing out fear and worry and frustration and anger and resentment, because those things don't help us. Tomorrow, there's going to be a march in DC, spearheaded by Reverend Al Sharpton for the Black Lives Matter movement. And we're praying for all of those because we want for justice to be done. So let's get in. Hey, Sonny, good morning. Glad you're on the show. So let's get into our posture and let's get going with our breathing. 1, 2, 3. Breathe in. And breathe out. 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 Last time, crew, make it count. Breathe in. And breathe out. That felt good, right? That felt really good. So here's the things, if you all weren't up half the night, and I know I was, here are the things that are trending. When we're talking about today, let's get right into our courageous conversation. Today, we're talking about our Black Lives Matter. And here's the truth of the fact. We wouldn't have to say Black Lives Matter if our lives mattered, right? Then all lives would matter. But because all lives don't matter, and because there are such drastic differences with how Black people are treated versus white people, that we have to have that as a hashtag. We don't want to have that as a hashtag. We just want to be treated fairly and with equity, just like anybody else, whether we're in the streets or whether we're in the suites. And so, when we hear statements like, I think the chief of police said in an article, in an interview, that the reason why the persons were shot in the street the other night by the 17-year-old was because they were out after curfew. The point is that if the shooting didn't happen several days before on a Sunday afternoon when Jacob Blake was trying to break up a fight, and somehow then the police were called and then they began to try to arrest him, I guess. If that didn't happen, and if this man wasn't shot 7 times in the back, there wouldn't have been that outrage. People are outraged. They've had enough. We've had enough of Black people being hunted in the middle of the street, and the stark difference between what happens for a Black person, as I wrote in my post last night, a Black person who kills no one, who then gets shot 7 times in the back in front of his 3 Black boy children, and a 17-year-old who is not fully an adult coming. And I think there was a video where he was interviewed with his weapon as a 17-year-old, right? 17, not even old enough to actually have a gun, but has a rifle. Someone interviews him. He says he's out there trying to help the police. I think that he was one of those police rangers or whatever, that they have, young people participate in when they want to be a police officer. And then he ends up shooting and killing 2 people and injuring 1 person, and gets to walk home in front of the police because they didn't arrest him until they went to his apartment the next morning. So he got the chance to sleep in his own bed after killing 2 people and injuring 1. That is the difference. I believe that we all should be outraged. I believe that we all need to figure out how we grieve the loss of the reality that we are not treated fairly, but also have a level of grace that allows us to use our grit and our intellect and our voting rights to vote our conscience. I can't tell anybody who to vote for, but I can tell you that this is one of the most important elections of our lifetime, and that we cannot afford to be apathetic, and we can't afford to stay home, and we have to vote early, and we have to help other people, and specifically the seniors, get to the polls or vote in the early mail-in ballot, or go to in Philadelphia, there are 17 sites that will open up in mid-September where you can actually do all-in-one voting. You can register for your voting ballot. You can get your ballot, fill it out, and then turn it in all in the same day. I think that's maybe the safest way to do that. Deborah's on. Good morning, Deborah. Good morning, Jacqueline. I guess y'all can tell that I'm feeling in Philly what we say is some kind of way. I just want to, there's some other things going on in the world that I think can speak to Black Lives Matter. We need our white allies as well. We need white people to come on board with this anti-racist movement. We can't do this without all of us being on one accord, all hands on deck. I want to say the names of some folk because I don't want people to forget. So we need to remember George Floyd. We need to remember Rayshard Brooks, who was trying to de-escalate the engagement himself almost a month ago. And after 30, 40 minutes talking to the police officers, he was shot in the back. We need to remember Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, who was shot in her own home, Michael Brown, Terrence Crutcher. We need to remember Eric Gardner, Oscar Grant, Freddie Gray, who they said they're going to take on a ride. And he was taken on a rough ride, if you will. By the time that he got to wherever they were taking him, he was dead. Bethard Jean. We need to remember Trayvon Martin. We need to remember Tamir Rice, a little boy who was playing with a toy gun and he's now shot and dead. Sandra Bland. These are just a few names. These are names that we know, but there are so many more. There are people that are killed by white police officers. And as Morgan said the other day, not all police officers are bad. His uncle was a police officer. My father was a law enforcement officer, retired. There are many really good public servants that are police officers, but the ones that are not, the ones that we can't legislate their heart, but they actually believe that we as Black and brown people are not worthy of the same rights, those need to be out. Cynthia says, my spirit is connected with yours today. So fed up. Thank you, Cynthia. Y'all, I said I need your help today because I'm tired. And I'm dealing with a little sleep deprivation, not feeling my best, but I'm on here with you all because we as the crew, Connecting Relationship for Epic Wins, we stand in solidarity with each other. And we've got to go out and vote. Yesterday we talked, I told y'all I was going to read this, wear this t-shirt for the whole week. It's called Cycle to Vote. And it's a friend of mine, someone that I worked with years ago at Drexel, and Lauren Kahn, who came up with this idea. Hold on a second. It's called Cycle to Vote. You can actually go to www.cycletovote.com, or you can, if you see someone with these t-shirts, you can purchase a t-shirt yourself. And it says, scan me on the back. And you can literally hold your phone up. I tried it the other day. And if you scan it, it goes directly to the location where you can register to vote, also register to get early ballot voting. So we'll be putting some more information on that platform and possibly partnering so that we can create a campaign, quite frankly, for younger people to connect with older people, to follow them through to the end of the process. Not just say, hey, did you hear about this? But do you have help registering to vote? Let me help you. Let me get you to those early voting locations so that you can actually vote and feel like you've got support to help you get to this place. Lauren's on. She said, agreed. Vote, vote, vote. Thanks again, RG. I am with you. Yes, thank you for joining, Lauren. And we're going to have you on as a special guest probably next week to really talk about some of your initiatives. But we got to have all hands on deck here. We can't afford this. So these other things are going on in the world. We want to support the families and the people that are being impacted by Hurricane Laura. What's it, Laura? I think it's a Hurricane Laura. They're saying that it came in and hit ground at a Category 4 with 150-mile winds per hour. It's now been downgraded to a Category 2. However, the surge is coming in various areas, and there are people that just didn't leave. I don't quite get that. I know that people are used to being in those environments, and so they figure like they'll ride the storm out, but they use the word, crew, unsurvivable. Unsurvivable. When someone uses that word, unsurvivable, like, what does that mean? That means that you've got to seek higher ground. But some of those areas had a very high rate of people who were diagnosed with COVID-19. And so maybe that caused them to not want to leave their homes. But I think that if you're in harm's way like that, winds 150 miles per hour, I was watching the news, the national news, and it looked pretty dangerous. Charlotte says she wants the t-shirt. So yes, you can go, Charlotte, and anybody in the crew. I encourage everybody in the crew to get the shirt. You can go to www.cycletovote.com. When Lauren comes on next week, she's going to be talking about another initiative where the organization or the initiative is going to, for an entire weekend, cycle in honor of John Lewis. And it's going to be in different locations in the Philadelphia area. And then there's going to be a culmination on one particular day. I think it's going to be the first week in October, where everyone rides their bikes in an effort to bring people together with this initiative of Cycle to Vote, because we cannot afford not to vote. Not this time. This time we've got to come all hands on deck. And if you're in the Philadelphia area, you know that in the state of Pennsylvania, back 3.5 years ago, when our current president was voted in there were 240,000 people that were registered to vote, and Pennsylvania lost by 45,000. There were 45,000 people that did not, that the point spread, if you will. So what does that mean? That means if those 240,000 people had actually voted who were registered to vote, then things would have changed, because in the very early, I guess, hours of the morning is when our state flipped red. So we need to do better. Lauren's she put cycle to vote, at gmail.com. So you can go to the email, cycletovote@gmail.com as well. Good morning, Mama Stokes. Thank you so much. Contact me at cycletovote.org, or I'll make sure you get one. But now she's saying contact her at cycletovote@gmail.com. So please do that. I know that Morgan is interested in the conversation, because he posted a talk yesterday, his 2 cents about the advocacy that is happening in the sports world, right? And it really seems like at this point, it's the largest the point of advocacy for sports. And it's not just the NBA and the WNBA. Now it's the, I think tennis players are protesting and not playing, as well as baseball players. So Morgan, you want to share a little bit more about your thoughts about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, crew. How's everybody doing? Glad we are able to connect one more day in this pandemic environment. But the sports world kind of pretty much put the world on notice. And you have all these Black athletes, as I mentioned yesterday. The reality is you have to stand up and be counted right now. They're all standing up and being counted. Now is the time. Now is not the time to be passive. You got to really stand up and really share what your thoughts are and put it out for the world to see and understand. I was put on, I guess I was made aware today that today is almost 4 years to the day that Colin Kaepernick kneeled in protest for police brutality and killing. Almost 4 years to the day. Isn't lost on me that you have all these things culminating all at once. You have Colin Kaepernick, which took a stand, bravely took a stand 4 years ago. Now you have all these killings in the last year, and more specifically, the recent killings in the last 3 months. Okay. You have a pandemic that has occurred, economic downturn.
180,000 people dead.
Yes, dead. You have, political environment that's going on. It's just a toxic soup, a tsunami of things all coming together. Listen, I don't know what your spiritual belief is, but something's happening in the spirit. Something happening in the world. There is a sea change happening, and change again. What these athletes are realizing, they're really understanding their power and their value. You can't have a game without players playing the game. I don't care how many billions and trillions of dollars an owner has. He can't create a game without willing participants to play in the game. So the reality, they are exerting their power. They understand. This is what I try to share with people, understanding your power in terms of how to wield it. They understand the economic value, or how I say money, power, in order to affect change and have a strategy behind that change. Understanding the leveraging power. That's what it is, how to leverage your power and wield it to affect change. So it remains to be seen what they're going to do with that power and that leverage right now. It's a pivotal moment right now, because you have serious dynamics that are going on. They have millionaires, but a lot of players aren't really, they're millionaires, but they're mini millionaires. What I mean by that is, sometimes people manage their money well, sometimes they don't. So you're asking a guy that's sitting on the bench, 6, 7, players down, okay, that hardly gets any playing time, that's making the league minimum, he may not be able to survive that long without getting a paycheck. So you got enormous pressure that's being put on them. So what things do they have in place, and what can they right now in the moment bargain with their owners? Because the owners now realize they just can't hey, shut up and triple. All right, that's not happening. These guys understand. They have family members to go home to. Many of their family members work for them. Many of their cousins and nephews and nieces and godchildren and so forth are home back in the streets, in their neighborhoods, experiencing this, where they may be away in the suburbs, but it's obviously proven that, no matter what your money or your economic status is, you can still be impacted by this too. But they're having to deal with this very up close and personal. So right now they're being put in a situation where they're having to grapple with this, make a stance. And I'm telling you right now, the brother, Doc Rivers, he made it plain. And you could feel the well of emotions in his spirit and his soul. The man said, it's just amazing how we love this country, but they don't love us back. He put words to it and feeling to it. And here's a guy that's highly respected in the sports world, but highly respected in his community. Saying that, clearly understanding what that message is. Not one white person has to have to talk to their white kids. They just don't. On top of that, and I don't know if you said this already, I kind of stepped away earlier, RG, but you got this 17-year-old vigilante.
We talked about that.
You talked about that already? You did?
Go ahead. I want to hear your thoughts about it, though.
Well, it's shocking, the juxtapositions.
I'm not shocked.
No. But what I'm saying shocking is that this mother, first of all, got the gun from what the reports say. I mean, you got to unpack that a little bit to understand really all the facts. But at this point, what we know now, allegedly, the mother bought the gun or got the gun for the 17-year-old. He felt compelled, based on whatever narratives and rhetoric that he's seeing or hearing, to go and confront with his rifle, his weapon, okay, and say he's gonna protect the community.
Well, and he also gave an interview.
You're right. They interviewed him before to state basically his video manifesto, if you will. And so he says, I feel compelled to protect the property and lives and so forth and so on. Okay, the guys in the street attack him. Okay, he shoots off, kills 2, wounds one other. And then he runs down the street with his hands up, gun by his side towards police. Nope, he doesn't get shot. He has weapon in hand. They don't know. Now listen. Now they don't know what he is. They don't know. Is he presenting a threat? Here's you got a guy with a weapon running towards them. Okay, he could have lifted the weapon up at any second and shot, but they don't jump to that conclusion, and you wonder why. It's because they realized
then he go home. He went home.
He went right. Exactly my point.
They arrested him the next morning.
And see, this is what absolutely infuriates Black America. You got a guy breaking up a fight. He gets shot in the back
7 times.
No, right in front of his kids. This guy, running towards the police with a weapon.
Not old enough to own a gun.
Because they heard the shots, and he gets taken home safely and comfortable.
No, okay? I don't think he got taken home. He went home. He was able to just went home. He was not that far from his home.
Got home safe. He wasn't shot, okay, or taken to jail. Wasn't even asked questions. See, that's what I meant earlier in my post yesterday about the data boy, with Dylan Roof, and get taken to the Burger King. You can't, Pete, listen, you can't continue. Sorry to say it, the piss in our face until it's raining. You can't continue doing that and expecting us not to react in this visceral way. It's just not human, not to have a response. So,
Mm-hmm.
uh,
So I want the crew to share, and my bonus daughter is on. Hey, Jess, good morning. Thanks for joining. She said I'm not surprised per the usual. I think that these platforms, I know these quarantine talks are for us to be able to process our emotions so that we don't stuff them, right? And then harness that anger and then go out there and do something that's not going to serve us or our families very well. So I want people to be able to process what is the primary emotion that you're feeling and what will you do with that emotion that's more proactive. And that means maybe taking care of yourself as well. I see Deborah saying the 17-year-old is the product of a racist, toxic family upbringing with the protection of just being white privilege, unearned power and privilege. And we don't know necessarily his family, but if his mother's buying him a gun to go out there and protect the community, and he's able to give an interview and get some water from the cops who thank him for being there helping them, that's a problem. That is a 17-year-old. I wanted to read this to us as well, and it has something to do with what you were saying about Doc Rivers. Nicole posted this morning, and it said, sometimes I sit and wonder what exactly did Black Americans do to make white Americans hate us so much? We cooked your food, raised your babies, worked your land, built your roads, prayed for you, and forgave you. So what is it that we have done that would cause this level of hatred towards another human being because of the color of their skin?
I'm going to say this here, at the risk of, again, I don't have a problem going into the deep waters a little bit. I'm just not afraid to do that. I'm really challenged by, we are very forgiving people and forgiving culture, but I'm not so sure that forgiving nature of ours has served us well. Every time there's a killing of a Black person, whether it's Breonna Taylor, sometimes we forget to say her name. We need to say her name more.
Sandra Bland. Women.
Huh? Yeah, no, so many others, exactly. But every time there's a Black killing, you have Black families go on national TV with, again, the national hero, Ben Crump. Just want to make sure I shout him out. And they have all this love of forgiveness in their heart. And, you're talking about their heart being ripped out of their chest. And they are just so quick to forgive the perpetrators. I'm just really challenged by that again at this point. I'm saying maybe initially, so forth, but maybe we shouldn't be so forgiving so quickly. That's number one. Number two, you asked the question, what do we do? We, for some reason, as a people, don't understand economic power and how much power we have economically to force change globally. Our dollars are important. So I know while we loot the emotion, again, I'm going to make it clear. I'm going to try to give nuance and context to this, okay? I understand the frustration to loot. I understand the frustration to burn down, because that's how you can just you get out your emotion, whatever. Again, I'm not agreeing with it. Don't misunderstand. I'm not agreeing with it, but I understand it. But here's the flip side to this. How about giving that same energy and you buy and don't spend your money with certain companies or organizations who are not supporting your cause?
Mm-hmm.
Put the same energy and efforts economically to be self-sufficient. Create our own engines and avenues for economic power. Hey, I'm not going to spend my money here with you until you show me that you value my dollar and value my people. Put your energy towards, again, legislation and voting. We put the energy in the wrong place.
And running
for office. Okay.
Yes.
running for
That's
exactly.
what
So,
I'm saying. What can
so
we do to impact change? We have to have our voices at the table, right? In order for those decisions to be made and policies to be crafted and legislation that votes where we can vote our interest.
well,
So, right?
the,
So
the
let me say,
athletes have a unique position right now. They're really in a powerful, pivotal place right now to really lead with their power. They're understanding the leverage of their power. I mean, you're talking about they are trillions of dollars. Their influence. I mean, this generation, this culture buys sneakers, all kind of paraphernalia. They drive a huge economic engine. They can push the envelope, and
well,
they
I,
can
I
speak.
agree
You
with
say
that. I
they
agree
can
that
speak.
black
Say
dollars
again?
matter.
Black dollars matter, and they
Black
can speak.
dollars matter, and we need to invest that in our community. That's why when you think about Black Wall Street in Tulsa, it was burned to the ground because those black dollars were invested in the community, and we were thriving. That said, I'm gonna push back a little bit from my perspective around the forgiveness piece. And you knew that I was gonna do that, right?
I want to finish. I want to finish up my last
Okay,
thought, but
all
go
right.
ahead.
Finish. I'll
I'll
push
let you.
back a little bit. Go ahead.
Okay. I know you're gonna push back. I know you are. Okay. Um. The last thing is this. Today's environment is different. You have my phone. Actually, my phone is in the other room with you. But you have
I haven't forgotten about you guys, IG
yeah.
family.
Hold your phone up, Arch. Hold your phone up.
Hold my phone up.
That
Okay.
phone. So it's powerful because it really gives the athletes and the young folks the power to get a message out to the masses globally, instantaneously. It's marketing in a way in which we never had to communicate a message and it go viral to millions of people to then evoke change. So we have unique power right now. And what I'm just afraid of, are we going to understand that power and to be able to exercise that power in a very strategic way? It can't be just indiscriminately aimed. That power, that economic power has to be specifically pointed, strategically pointed to affect pain. You people aren't going to change the way they've been operating that's been feeding them millions and trillions of dollars for centuries just because it's a feel good. No, it's got to hit them in the pocket.
I don't disagree with you on
Power.
that.
It has to hit them in the pocket. If we don't make a difference economically, nothing's going to change. We're going to be back here time and time again, year after year. Oh, it's a horrible situation. I'm sorry. People
So
only
that's
going to
why
change
this whole
if
week
you're
we've been
pushing them.
talking about embracing change in the
Say again?
midst of. I said that's why this whole week we've been talking about embracing change.
Correct.
Like nothing changes, nothing changes. So we have to have a different approach because our approach has not worked,
Correct.
right? However, I would still say that in terms of that comment that you made about forgiveness, and I don't know I want to hear what the crew has to say about it.
We have some comments.
I think it's a both and, not an either or. Because I believe that when we walk around with unforgiveness, then, and I'm not saying that it should happen right away, because typically it doesn't. That's called cheap forgiveness, when you just say the words, but the emotion doesn't really follow. But I also recognize that if we're walking around with those toxic emotions, they breed bitterness and anger, hatred and fear, and oftentimes do not put us in the best position to actually execute on the skills and the gifts and strategize in a way that we can move the needle. Because a lot of times when I work with people who are not able to really move on when they're stuck or they're paralyzed, it's because they're holding on to all those toxins. So that's all I'm saying about forgiveness. I think it can be a both and. We can work towards that while simultaneously figuring out how to execute, understanding what emotions we do feel, right? And then utilizing those emotions and harnessing them and channeling them into action. Let's see what Chris has to say. She says, I wonder if the mother wanted to send him getting shot by the police. If she thought that was what was going to happen, or even to prove a point that the white person wouldn't be harmed. who knows what?
Who knows? I mean, yeah, that's
right?
a provocative thought. I mean, you know, who knows? I mean, my thing, I don't understand what mother. Just understand the mentality here. What mother would sign off on you sending out your 17-year-old child in a harm's way? Okay, there's a mentality and philosophy that is absolutely
some radicalists might.
well. That's what I'm saying. A mentality and philosophy that's on the radical fringe. But when you have leadership that speaks to that, it sort of gives them the okay that you're fighting for your country. It's a mentality. I can go down this rabbit hole big time, but I'm trying not to do this. I don't want, this is it's not my personal channel. So I'm gonna go there, but it's a whole lot to that. It's messages being sent that makes this young kid think that he's fighting for a cause, and saving. There's dog whistles and there's bullhorns going out, and we all know what the suggestion is that would promote and encourage a young kid and the mother to sign off on him going out to fight what? Now, again, I don't know. I don't know if those victims that he shot, if they were all black, if they were maybe
they weren't
white. They weren't black, right?
No,
they were black. They were white.
At least one of them was white, and the other one they didn't have a picture of him.
Was white, I believe. Yeah, exactly. So listen, it's clear. A lot of our white brothers and sisters are putting their lives on the line. Obviously, evident of what happened the other day. So it's clear, okay.
And we need our white brothers and sisters
allies,
to stand
for sure.
in solidarity with us. We need that. You want to read something?
Let me go back. I'll let you know. Here you go. All right, you can go ahead. Amen to that.
Amen to that. It's not doesn't serve us well. And then Karen says, our faith encourages us to forgive. I think some of us try to follow that teaching more than others. It's hard, though. It is hard. Not sort of suggesting that it's easy. Darlene says, so true. Yes, I agree with both, and I agree. Sonia says, I believe that your powerful duel has to explain how to utilize our power. Many of us don't know where to go to expedite our power. You two have to deliver the power system step by step so that everyone can understand how to utilize power. That's an interesting thought. I want to get back.
I can give some. I mean, we can kind of approach that at a later date. I mean, it's a lot of details and nuances to all that, and I can kind of come on and kind of give you my thoughts around what I think. Again, I'm not an economist. I just live my life. I've been in the business world.
That's the first step.
Entrepreneurship, and First thing is
that's the first step. Just go vote.
First thing is vote. What's my daughter saying? What's she saying?
Jessica says a white mother because she has no fear that her son would come home. To that point, to Jessica's point, my bonus daughter, our daughter, I think it was LeBron James yesterday that said, we're terrified. Black people are terrified, if not for ourselves, for our children.
Children, right.
And we are living in a time where we're not even protected in our own homes by police officers who swore to protect and serve. So how is that an equitable position when we are terrified that we are going to be shot or that our children will be, which is why they're protesting right now?
I'm going to say this to you. I am, for me, I have a 16-year-old son, and now I have a 5-month-old grandson. I want, before I live, that my grandson at least.
Before you live?
Before I die. I want my grandson to be able to not freak out if a police car or squad drives up behind him because of fear, that they fear him so much that they may shoot and ask questions later because of what they perceive this black boy and this black man might do to them. Okay, which is the vice versa, which is the reverse, and how he feels. And I keep saying this, and understand history. If you don't understand your history, you're bound to repeat things again. Okay, understand how police was formed. Police was formed based on slave catchers. These were police was developed because they had to go out and catch escaped slaves, people running for their freedom. And they put these bands of independent people out there, and then that just evolved. That's the origins of police in our country. So we've never had a good relationship with the police. We never had, from our roots. And that's ingrained in us.
That's our history.
Things have changed over time when we thought it had changed over time, but it's always been a contentious relationship. That's just what it is. Let me finish some of these comments here. We got kind of get behind the radar. See, you want me to read it, babe?
Tree said, right, and given his background, hell, she may have wanted to get rid of him. Charlotte says, yes, we do need to forgive and use that energy to fight. I believe that with every fiber of my being. Deborah says, or that kid was using the situation as an excuse to go out and shoot. He may have been. That might have been in his head. Because, by the way, he was at the Trump rally back in January on the side. So they have a photo of something on TikTok that he had posted.
You can trace it.
Lauren says, that's right, RG Buddhist teaching. Thich Nhat Hanh says, holding on to anger is like holding on to a hot stone. Anger is so important, but harms oneself when held inside. I stand with you in solidarity. Thank you so much, Lauren. Jessica says, unlike myself, because I am a Black mother, and that would be terrified by Jace, a guy, for any reason, because I fear for his life. White people in general have no fear for their lives, or they don't feel that they're going to be harmed unnecessarily for bird watching or drinking coffee or walking or riding a bike. Darlene says, wow. Sonny says, Dr. R.G. Morgan, we voted many times. They choose Trump. We didn't. The election was stolen, just like many, many, many other things were stolen from white Americans. But that is not an excuse for us not to.
Listen. Here's
that's true, but that's not an excuse.
Here's the deal. Again, 240,000 registered voters did not vote in Pennsylvania. Okay.
Yes,
and
true.
We lost Pennsylvania by 44,000 votes. I'm sorry. Listen, Tony, listen, I get what you're saying, but Pennsylvania, if we had won Pennsylvania, we wouldn't have had the last 4 years happening. Okay? This is what
the last
by being pragmatic. This is what I mean by being pragmatic and thinking unemotional and irrational. Understanding what the overall goal is. Yes, we can allow for differences and have competing thoughts and debate and everything, a smart intellectual debate about approaches and so forth. But once the masses come together and say, look, this is what overall our strategy is, everybody needs to get in line to affect change. And when we don't show up at the polls, you get what we got for the last 4 years. So I understand, you say stolen, but I can't say stolen because the numbers don't lie. Numbers don't lie. 240,000 registered voters did not vote. We lost Pennsylvania by 44,000.
I was canvassing. If you remember, Morgan, I was canvassing in the area, and people were saying they're not going out to vote. And I was like, you can't not do that, because if you don't vote, you're making a decision, and that impacts your children. So I was fighting, knocking on doors.
They're saying what that means now. They got a taste of it now. When you don't vote, and you get, it is what it is. So what's Karen saying?
Karen says, I honestly feel that some white people are happy when they know that we're afraid, and they are the reason for that fear. Mental manipulation. Well, you have to look at the administration for that. Yeah. Jessica says, I live on a busy intersection. Cops are around often because of the accidents, etc. And last night I was in my living room and saw cop lights in my driveway and immediately felt panicked. Did you call your dad? You should have called your dad. Because he didn't know that was going on with you. That's what family's for.
Period. Exactly.
Period. Jessica says,
that's right. I mean, it is what it is,
Oh, he was only turning around in the opposite direction, but it's so sad that she felt that way, felt fear because she saw a cop. I mean, at this point, fear cannot drive us into being paralyzed. I know why we're fearful, but we have to harness that fear. I always say fear stands for either forget everything and run or face everything and remain. And emotionally, like you say, Morgan, we have to honor our emotions, but once we honor them, then we have to harness them and do something. We have to then take action. Jen's on. She said, "Good day, Mama RG and Mama RG." Alan Wilson at the hospital. Please lift me up in prayer. Glad to tune in before I'm seeing. So lift part of our crew, Jen, up in prayer. She's having some challenges because she had a slip and fall, and so just keep her in your prayers. And Jen, let me know how things work out for you. Bonnie says, "Okay, let's rent some vans and pick up people." SEPTA was on strike during that election, wasn't it? Not during the primaries. We're talking about the primaries. No, you weren't talking about the primaries, babe. You were talking about when.
I was trying to put some stuff. What did Sonny say?
He's saying that SEPTA was on strike. Well, this is what I'm talking about. And even with Lauren Kahn's event, she's talking about cyclers picking up people, making sure they get to the polls. But now, y'all have to know we're in the middle of a pandemic. That's going to affect people going to the polls. So that's why we are really encouraging people to sign up for early ballots and not make excuses. Get it done now.
Listen, the other day, Roland Martin, I was listening to his program, and he said something very profound. I think it was Roland Martin. I think it was. I'm not sure. Was it him? I'm not sure. But anyway, I heard it recently. And what he said is that, listen, no, I think it was Pastor Waller. That's what it was. It was Pastor Waller in a sermon on Sunday. He said, listen, what impacted him about Africa, he said he watched African people.
South Africa.
Apartheid, and voting for Nelson Mandela. They walked and stood in line for days, I think some weeks, to vote and affect change. They understood the power and the significance of casting their vote. So he said while he understands, but he really can't feel sorry for folks who complained about standing in line for a couple of hours. Sorry. He said people were packing lunches, bags to stand in line to have an opportunity to vote. So he said, who are we to sit here and talk about our convenience? So I understand, well, the bus and this and that. Listen, it is what it is. And I mean, you know that phrase it takes another connotation when you apply it to 45. But that phrase was around before he took it, so I don't want him to, kind of take over that phrase. It is what it is. What I mean by that is
Michelle Obama said it too.
You got to do what you got to do, folks. You just can't continue to have excuses. Our ancestors fought and took a whole lot more before, what we got to take now. Took a whole lot more, that word I would have used. Their lives. They got beat, they got bruised. Look at John Lewis. The boy took on, beating his head to an inch of his life, crossing the Pettus Bridge. I'm sorry, the list goes on. I can go on ad nauseum about our people and what they endured to get where we are now. Again, clearly, we're not slaves anymore. Depends upon how you interpret slaves. I don't know. Depends on how you
slavery. By the way, there was somebody in South Philly that was hung last week. Nobody saw that in the news. I saw that recently.
I didn't see it at all. So
they said it was suicide.
Okay, well, they always, put that stuff on it. But the reality is that we're not what we were, but we sure as heck got a lot of, more road to go to really, really, truly, for America, view us as equal people. Remember, we were first deemed as 3/5 of a person. If you don't see me as human, then I'm an animal, and you treat me as such. And my value in life is just not there. It's not equal to your life.
Right.
So that's why that kid can shoot up protesters in the middle of a street. You got a barricade of police and law enforcement, and he can walk towards them with loaded gun, and nothing happens. And he's able to go home unharmed. Okay? Because they view him more human, even though he's done some foul stuff, they still view him as human than what they would view us as. I'm sorry. I mean, you
I think we get to feel some kind of way about that.
Let me connect the dots even more. So it was I think Roland Martin made this point where you have the militia go, I think it was Milwaukee, I'm not sure what the state was. Somebody can type in if they heard about this happened earlier this year, with their guns spewing hate spitting at police. They don't shoot back at them. And you wonder why. Part of it was because they look like them, and most likely, again, no one knows for sure, they live in their neighborhoods, and there's a level of community accountability. Because they shoot that guy back, they got to go back home to that same neighborhood where the family, cousins, co-workers, they got to hold themselves to a community accountability. Well, you don't live in my community. You don't have to go home and answer to nobody.
Police reform.
You don't have to go home and answer to that community as to why you pulled the trigger on your neighbor's cousin down the street. There's not a level of accountability going on like that.
Right.
So and guess what? Your wife and kids are going to have to be held accountable again for your actions. Because I use this as a demonstration. If you did that in your community, your wife got to go to the grocery market. Again, I'm not trying to be sexist, but let's say whatever she wants to go out and do. Your church community, okay, whatever she wants to do, go get her nails done, her hair did, the whole 9 yards, and everybody look at her with this community shame look. She ain't got to endure that. Those kids don't have to go to school, and the other kids tease them and look at them and hold them accountable and check. There's no community shame involved, or no community answers. So you got to understand that. If those white folks or those white guys lived in the community for which they're committing crimes against, trust me, that would change. That would change. Just that alone.
And if there was just accountability for murder, literally, if there were accountability and there was better screening for persons, although I know you can't legislate a person's heart, there are views that people have, like in Philadelphia, where they actually look at the social media posts of, I think, 20-something police officers, and then they terminated them because they spewed those views of hate on social media. So, there's got to be a different answer. And I'm saying the Black and brown people who are fed up and who have had enough, we can't stop now. We can't quit. We can't go back. We've come too far. Our forefathers died and shed their blood, sweat, and tears for us for the right to vote. And we can't just say we're tired now. What we have to do is stand in solidarity with each other, process how we're feeling, harness those emotions, and then channel them into action so that we plot and we plan and we strategize and we organize and we mobilize and we vote. That's what we have to do. So what say you, Morgan? Someone wanted to know what you thought about carrying a weapon. Yeah, that was Trace.
You break it up a little bit. I couldn't hear what you said, babe.
She wanted to know what you thought about openly carrying weapons in public, letting people know that we are no longer going to take that.
I believe in the Second Amendment. I believe in the Second Amendment. I believe that I'm a proponent of, and I'm not so much the turn the other cheek type guy. And what I mean by that is this. I'm not going to initiate trouble, but I need you to understand. You bring it to me, trust and believe I'm going to defend myself. So I need to put the benefit of the doubt in your brain before you come at me. And that only happens when they know you're going to fight back, whether it's with your economic dollars, your vote, or physically. It needs to be across the board. I always give the example about the bully and fighting. You may lose the fight, but you want to make sure that bully endures some serious pain in the midst of that fight, so that the next time he thinks he want to run up on you, he might think twice. I may win this, but good Lord, I'm gonna take some serious damage in the process. So maybe I'll take this one off. Okay. And that comes in many forms. I'm using the fight metaphor.
Well, I think, fighting comes in many forms.
I use that metaphor. But I do understand that literally. I understand that literally, so you just can't be no pushover, no punk. You just can't. I mean, a bully doesn't respect anybody that doesn't defend themselves. It's not the way it happens. This is not the way it works. You have to make sure that you can defend yourself and fight back. You don't fight back, you get no respect.
There's multiple ways to fight. That's what I would say.
Correct.
There's ways
Correct. But you have to prepare to fight in every way.
Yeah.
You just can't. I'm gonna fight economically, and somebody punch in the mouth. You sit back and go, I'm gonna punch in the mouth. I know I'm being funny and sort of, jokey about it, but that's real, folks. You can't change without pushing the envelope and making it uncomfortable and not being prepared and ready for the fight. I'm joking about it and being funny about it, but that's real. That's real. Until we understand it as a community to exert our power economically, and not be afraid. I'm just tired of it. I'm just tired of it. And for too long, we have these apologists and these wimpy people, and they're nobody gonna just give it to you. They're not gonna give up power unless they're forced to give up power.
So we have to fight. I hear what you're saying. We have to fight like our life depends on it, because it actually does. Carla says, I'm with you, Morgan. I've organized 3 intro to handgun classes for Black female friends. Women should be secure.
There you go. All I can say is amen, amen, amen. I'll let y'all read between the lines, but trust me, I believe in the Second Amendment, okay? Just letting y'all know. All right? Just understand.
So we need to be able to defend ourselves in multiple ways, right? We need to be able to. I said we need to be able to defend ourselves in multiple ways, but we also need to be proactive and we need to strategize. Just like Carla is taking the initiative to strategize with a class for women to defend themselves. Everybody can take their hill. Everybody can do something with regards to the state that we're in, because we are in a state of emergency. We are in the middle of 2 pandemics. Systemic racism for 401 years, and the pandemic of COVID-19, where Black people are dying at higher rates than anybody else simply because of the color of their skin. And it's just exhausting. It's exhausting.
Let me say this to you. I just wonder, if you had 2 or 3 Black men like that kid running towards the police with their hands up.
Oh, they'd be dead.
What do you think would happen?
They would be dead. We all know what would have happened.
Absolutely. It would have been a firing squad on them.
In their backs, running away. Running towards.
But here's the thing. You can't keep pushing people into a corner without people at some point making a decision to fight back. You listen. It's fight or freeze. You fight, you flight, or you freeze, okay? And there's a lot of us that's going to fight. It's going to fight back.
We all should fight. I mean, but everybody won't.
But listen, we all know, in your movie, Harry told me watch, all of us can't fight. And all of us don't have the capacity, because she was
I get it.
Her sister froze and chose to stay in that crap that she was experiencing because it was just the known. The fear of the unknown paralyzed her, and she froze.
Yeah, right.
She didn't fight.
And she also was her daughter. Her daughter was there, so that was also.
But see, again. So here's the difference. You say her daughter was there, right? This mother sent her 17-year-old son. So I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but the level of commitment sometimes for causes sometimes is different for some people. She was willing to sacrifice her son because she didn't know. He could have been, listen, one of those protests could have shot him dead. Mm-hmm. She'd have held him up as a martyr. Okay? She'd have held him up as a martyr to die for her cause. So in Harry Tubman movie, the mother, the sister, oh, my baby, protecting my baby. Again, I'm not saying right or wrong. I'm just telling you the differences and sometimes how people think. And so that's all I'm trying to suggest. So I don't want to get off on the wrong. People have me, I'm saying the wrong thing or saying something that I really don't mean. I'm just give you the juxtapositions here, the differences in how certain people react and respond. Again, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I want to make sure I'm clear. Could you give me that look, Dr. RGL? Okay, I know my wife's look. Okay, she want to paint me as this radical. Okay.
Okay. Listen,
listen,
we can
listen,
disagree, we can agree to disagree, but I think we all agree in this crew that we have to fight like our lives depend on it, because it does, and we have to vote, and we have to take our hill to November 3rd and beyond. That's
right.
what we have to do. So I want to, Morgan, before you can read the last couple ones, but I want to hold up the back of the shirt like I did before.
Got it. Let's see what happens here.
So you read and you
Cynthia says she should suffer some type of penalty for sending her son there. Charge her with something. Shucks. You know what? You're right, Cynthia. You're Audrey, too close to the camera.
too close.
You're too close to the camera. There you go. Pull it back some. You're right, Cynthia. The thing about it is, where's the child abuse or child authorities in that state? There should be something against her. I don't know what the laws are in that state, but the child advocacy group should be definitely on her door, removing that kid or whatever the case may be, for sure. So RG showing the shirt, scan the shirt. It'll take you right to the website to register to vote. Lauren Kahn, thank you very much for that initiative. The initiative is phenomenal. It's powerful. We're going to continue to push on our platforms and continue to wear our shirts. All right. Let's see. So Cynthia said that. Let's see what else is going on here. Trace, our sons, I believe, have had guns drawn on them before. They had a chance to show their service police badge. Sad. Okay. Yep. Sorry, kids, couldn't read your typing there a little bit there, Trace. Let's see here.
Tony said it's just downright racist, Morgan. No matter how you cut it, it comes out racist.
Yeah.
And she says that's what I was saying about the mother earlier. The mother is guilty as well. And you know that people aren't born into this world racist. It's a socially constructed ideology based on messaging. And if you spew hate into your children, that's what you will get. We got to do better. We got to do better.
Got to do better for sure.
Carla says, yes, the mother should be charged with parties to the crime of offense. They locked up drug dealers' girlfriends under that crime. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So listen, babe.
Okay, no problem, Trace. I got you, Trace. I understand.
Typing fast.
Sometimes for me, it's like fat fingers, fat thumbs. Sometimes you typing stuff and just don't type up well. So let's see what else is saying. See, y'all coming, Dr. RG and Senator Morgan. No, I don't. Senator Morgan, no.
He thinks he's a senator. Can you please take a look at Black Lives Matter stainless steel bracelet on Facebook and help support this? We'll post it, Sonny.
Okay. Yes,
we'll post it for you.
Send it to us.
I have sons that have guns drawn. Oh, we read that before.
Read that again. I got you.
Yeah.
Again. Okay. So listen, guys, we are over beyond our 11 o'clock hour. We here for hours. So it's now 10 after 11. Thank you very much for allowing me to come on the show and kind of give my 2 cents and kind of interject my energy and my thoughts and so forth. Appreciate you, babe. Love you very much. But this is a platform. We call it the Courageous Conversations Connect for a reason. And this is we call it the Quarantine Talks, series, if you will. But this is going to continue to go on. We just ask you to invite your friends, invite them to come on and listen to the show. We're going to approach some controversial topics, and we'll have controversial opinions, difference of opinions. My wife and I, we don't think alike. We're not joined at the hip and everything. A lot of times our thoughts are the same, but then sometimes we have different thoughts. And what I am too is this: I'm not afraid to have a intellectual discourse and dialogue, and open my mind to hear other thoughts and other opinions. People evolve and change. So I may bring something to the table that may challenge your thought, that may encourage you. You might say, you know what? Morgan may have a good thought and may have a good opinion about this, and it might shift versa. So you may bring some help to shape my thinking, and I'm open to thinking. I'm going to evolve always, But I thought 10, 15 years ago, I don't always think the same now. And that's just what that is. That's about growth and development and evolution. That's what it is. And, listen, people are afraid to change, but change is inevitable. It's inevitable, folks. And you can't change the tide. And this is what's happening in our country. One of the major issues in our country is that they're experiencing change, and the tidal wave of change, they cannot stop. They're just fighting the inevitable. And that's what's happening. And it's making people just freak out. I got so many more comments. What's happening here? Let's see. That's a lot. Thank you. Vote.
You're now Senator Morgan.
Huh?
You're now Senator Morgan. Sonny says Senator Morgan, by any means necessary. Absolutely. And Trace says, this is the first time seeing our page. She loves it. Thank you so much for joining, Trace.
Okay, thank you.
Trace.
Appreciate it. Invite your friends, invite your family, tell everybody, shout us out. All right. We have a crew here. We have a crew, and
Connecting
crew
Relationships for Epic.
Stands for Connecting Relationships for Epic Wins. That's what our crew stands for. And we're just trying to do our good work and trying to put good work out there and cause people to think and to have courageous conversations. And listen, Trace, go get that book called Courageous Conversations Connect. You can get it on the website. Our website is drrgconnects.com, or you can get it through connectionsmatterllc.com. Get that book. That's a good read. That book was written back in October of 2019. It launched in December before the pandemic was even out. So this book is really on point and on spot on. It's spot on and talks about different conversations from a relationship standpoint. And my wife did the darn thing with that book. I love you, babe.
I love you too, babe.
With that book, babe. Did the darn thing.
All right.
So listen, we are out, guys. Anything you want to say, babe?
I want to say to the crew that I just appreciate you. I appreciate you so much. I don't take this lightly that you all come on with us every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 10 a.m. To have these courageous conversations. They're not easy to have, but I do believe that we're better off for it. So we're trying to just create a platform where everybody can come and share their heart. As we said yesterday, we can't legislate your heart, but you can share and examine your heart, and then we can move forward together. So thank you. As I always say, we love you. There's nothing that you can do about it. And we wish that you would have a beautiful day on purpose from our heart.
To yours.